I think this is one of the most credible copycat recipes that we've ever had in the whole series. This person on Reddit claims that they actually work at Subway, at the Subway restaurant, and that the actual dough that Subway uses for every single one of their cookies, the brand of the dough is Otis Spunkmeyer. I don't know exactly what this is. Maybe this is like a brand in America. So this specific type of cookie dough is the foundation for every cookie that they sell at Subway. With a little bit of research, we actually found this is allegedly the real deal, the real Subway chocolate chip cookies. I have measured every single ingredient because we want to be very specific with these copycat recipes because we want this to work out. We're gonna start with some butter. In the actual recipe, it actually says that the butter should be melted, but mine is very soft. And this is vegetable shortening, which I've actually never used this in any recipe. So as you can see, everything is very soft, which is what it says on the recipe. To this, we're gonna add some white sugar and some brown sugar. We're gonna add the salt and the vanilla extract. So this is gonna be the foundation for our cookie dough. So we're gonna cream everything, which according to the recipe, it might take up to like 6-7 minutes. You want this to be light and fluffy. It might be a lot of work, but it's gonna be worth it if it works. This is looking good, I think. Do you see how light and fluffy this is? I know it takes a long time and it's annoying to whisk this, to beat this for as long as we do. I do think this makes a difference. So now we're gonna add 1 egg, combine it once again. So the next step is to add in the flour and also the baking powder. But we're gonna do this a little bit at a time. I don't know exactly why, but this is supposed to be the way it's done. I'm gonna add a little bit more. It's a very light cookie dough. It kind of does smell like a Subway restaurant, but it could just be my brain. We're gonna add the last of the flour, and that is it. This is the alleged official recipe for the actual dough. I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is a pretty incredible dough consistency. It almost looks like you bought it in a store, like it doesn't look homemade. To this, we're gonna add some semi-sweet chocolate chips. Quite a lot of them. And these are some walnuts, which should probably be a little bit more chopped than these. I didn't want to use my food processor, so this is it. This is supposed to be the Subway cookies. It does look pretty incredible, I'm not even gonna lie. Like it looks great. It was also quick enough, so it seems too good to be true. So if you've ever wondered what the Subway cookies allegedly look like before they're baked, this is it. I've got an ice cream scoop and I'm gonna try to basically get the same sized cookies. And this is supposed to bake for 10 to 12 minutes. But the recipe does say that you should check at around 8 minutes to make sure they're not overly cooked. The dough is a little wet now that I'm thinking about it. It's definitely a little bit wetter than most cookie doughs. But it is holding shape kind of nicely, so I don't know. I am an idiot who's just following instructions. And I can't even do that right. So I'm looking at it on camera and this looks great. I actually believe that this is the real recipe because there is no way this person knew what the original brand of the dough was unless they worked at Subway. So I do believe this is real, but that is my personal opinion, so I cannot afford to get into more legal trouble. I can't even afford to be having this conversation right now. So POV, you work at the Subway headquarters, at the Subway kitchen, factory, I don't know. Where does Subway make their cookies? It's definitely not at the restaurants. If I was baking these cookies, I would eat them just the way it is. This is a beautiful looking cookie dough. Like, I want you guys to please have a good look at this. These are truly beautiful looking. They're not cookies yet, they're cookie dough, but they look incredible. I am going to bake these. I'm going to check at 8 minutes, but I'm going to let them cook for the full 10 to 12 minutes, and I will show you what are supposed to be the Subway cookies. I am speechless. Wait, first of all, something magical happened in the oven because my house now smells like a Subway restaurant. Second of all, this is like an exact replica of the Subway cookies. They look exactly the same. I really hope you guys can see. Like, that's a Subway cookie. They look just perfect. The same height, the same color, the same toastiness all around. The texture on top. This is a Subway cookie. I didn't expect them to look exactly... This looks exactly the same as a Subway cookie. Color, texture, One thing that the recipe does say is that we have to let these cool down for 10 to 12 minutes to get exactly the same texture, the freshness that you get when you go to a Subway restaurant. It's gonna be the 10 longest minutes of my whole life. I was actually not prepared for this. I am so scared right now because I honestly think I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm not sure if I should be showing this publicly because I do genuinely believe that this is how you make a Subway cookie exactly. Visually, this is exactly the same as what you get at the restaurant. If this was in the Subway paper bag, I swear I would not be able to tell the difference. It smells the same as well. I'm gonna break this one. It is crispy and soft. That is the signature cookie at Subway. Stop. Oh my god. I'm being 200% truthful. I cannot put into words how exactly the same this recipe is to the Subway cookies. If you don't believe me, the only way you can do this is if you actually try it. I don't know, make a video. I want you guys to actually try this because I'm 100% sure that this is the exact same recipe, in my opinion. And possibly the best chocolate chip cookies in the world. For this next one, we are going to dive into something that honestly has been scaring me ever since I started this series, because I know people take this very seriously. What I'm about to show you is allegedly a copycat recipe for Popeyes chicken sandwich. The greatest chicken sandwich that's ever existed, so trust me, I take this seriously as well. I want this to be real. This is supposed to be a recipe from someone who actually worked there, and they say, this is it, this is the ingredients, this is how you do it. So for the actual chicken, we're gonna start with using one chicken breast. What we're gonna do is put the chicken breast in a Ziploc bag. We're gonna close it, and using a meat hammer, which obviously I don't own one, we are going to flatten down the chicken breast to around 1 inch, which is I think like 2 centimeters, I don't know. I have never in my life flattened down a chicken breast, so this is what happens when you mess with Popeyes. We're not gonna let that stop us. We are on a mission. If you've ever wondered how they get the chicken to fit the buns at the restaurant, turns out they actually trim. They cut the chicken so that it fits your bun perfectly. So this is it. I would say this is enough for maybe 2 buns if we cut this in half. So what we're gonna do next is put that inside, wait. Ooh, all those chicken juices. So we're gonna put the chicken inside a bowl. I think the recipe is for 4 chicken breasts. And to this, we're going to add some buttermilk. And these are supposed to be the spices that I use at Popeyes, which is paprika, garlic, salt, and black pepper. So we want to add all of that in. For this amount of chicken and buttermilk, it's quite a lot of spices. That was my first thought, so that explains why Popeyes chicken tastes so much better. This is 1 tablespoon of hot Louisiana sauce. I'll put all the recipes in the description, you know that. We're gonna put the hot sauce in. And if you're making the spicy version, you want to double the hot sauce. We're gonna mix this in. And this is it. This is how you season Popeyes chicken. It is thin, it is heavily seasoned. This is exactly how I would expect Popeyes to make their chicken because it's so nice, juicy, and flavorful. I honestly believe in this. But this is supposed to go in the fridge for 4 hours minimum. What they do at Popeyes is this stays in the fridge overnight, soaking in all those flavors, and that's how you get all the flavors to come through. So 4 hours minimum, and I'm gonna finish all of this, and I'll show you the result. This is supposed to be the flour mixture for coating our chicken before deep frying it. And I just wanna say, I have tried recipes from KFC, Chick-fil-A. I've tried recipes from basically every fast food place that does chicken. The spice to flour ratio is insane in this one. So we've got some garlic powder, sweet paprika. If you want to make the spicy version, you also add 1 full tablespoon of cayenne pepper. It's about 50% flour and 50% corn flour. This is it. So we're gonna add our spices. So there's no salt or anything else added to this. It's a very light mixture. I think it's the corn flour. It definitely looks more interesting than any of the other ones. So here we've got the chicken that's been marinating for a minimum of 4 hours in the fridge. And this is possibly the most interesting part of this whole recipe. So we're supposed to get 3 tablespoons of the marinade and add it on top of the flour mixture. So 3 tablespoons exactly, no more, no less. And mixing this is apparently going to create that flaky crust on the chicken. As you can see, it becomes like almost like a crumb mixture. This is so interesting, and it's one of those things that you just know this kind of information had to come from the restaurant. I am now sharing it with you guys, sponsored by my legal team. This is what they do at the restaurant. I feel like we've just uncovered one of the biggest mysteries of fast food fried chicken, which is how to get that flaky look. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm sorry. I'm gatekeeping the texture of fried chicken. So now that we've done all of that, we're going to grab our chicken breast and we're going to put it in the flour mixture. And we're not supposed to double coat it or anything. We're just supposed to press the flour into the chicken breast. Very specific instructions. So we're going to press the flour into the chicken breast. And hopefully with the new flaky technique that we've done, this is going to look like the real deal. Guys, that is so flaky. This is exactly that flaky look that you get at the restaurant that is impossible to recreate at home. That's how you make it. I am going to be in so much trouble with this video. You don't have to wonder ever again how KFC, Popeyes get that classic flaky look on the chicken. This is it. That is the technique that I just shown you. I have never in my life been more ready for deep frying. I usually hate it, but I am so curious to see this in a bun. My oil is ready for frying. The chicken looks incredible. I honestly cannot get over how professional that looks. According to the recipe, the oil is supposed to heat up to 180 degrees or to a specific temperature. So I'm gonna put the chicken in the little frying basket. So the chicken is ready to go into the deep fryer. So this is supposed to deep fry for 4 to 5 minutes. I like that they mentioned the time and the temperature because sometimes with copycat recipes that is not the case. So this goes in. Ooh. We survived that. My expectations for this are so high. I hope this works. So the chicken is ready. I think it's been 4.5 minutes, which is right in between. Oh my god. Not only this is the most beautiful piece of chicken that I have ever cooked. It looks made from Popeyes. I actually don't even know how to react to this. Even in the back, do you see how it's coming off a little bit? That looks exactly like it does when you get it from the restaurant. Sometimes that does happen. Smells the same. It looks the same. I think I girl bossed a little too close to the sun. I've toasted these brioche buns. I found this just at the supermarket, so it should be easy to find. I am going to butter them right where I toasted them. I think I'm playing dangerous games with these videos. Obviously, these are not my recipes, but I think I'm finding very credible sources and things are looking too good to be real. If you've been to Popeyes, you already know this, but their chicken sandwich is actually very plain, and it is one of the reasons why people go there because it's just about the chicken. So all we're gonna add is some mayo, and not even too much. I'm gonna do a little mayo on the top bit, but maybe slightly less. To the bun that is now buttered and toasted, we're gonna add some pickles. This alone looks exactly like what you get when you go to Popeyes. And imagine when we put this amazing piece of chicken on top. I mean, we officially cracked the recipe for the Popeyes chicken sandwich. And I'm not exaggerating. I genuinely believe this is it. It looks the same. It smells exactly the same. This is it. This is the recipe. I have never made fried chicken that smells as intense and nice as this. Does this taste like Popeyes chicken sandwich? I'm crying. I'm honestly crying. This is Popeyes chicken. I made it from scratch. I can only hope that you guys trust me enough to know that I would not lie to you, that I would tell you. This is more similar than the Chick-fil-A, the KFC, any leaked recipe that we've tested. This is the most similar one. The mayo, the butter, the pickles, and especially the chicken. This is the best fried chicken that I have eaten in my entire life. We should officially end this series here, because nothing will ever be better than this. I'm looking at it. This is hands down the most insane recipe that we've ever tried. Possibly ever. This is called a compost cookie. It is from this bakery in New York City called Milkbar. There are documentaries about this bakery. This recipe is trademarked. There's like a copyright on it. So you may be wondering, how did we get the recipe? And the reason is the recipe is on their website. They actually give out the official recipe that they use for these famous, possibly some of the most famous cookies in the world. I thought we should give it a try because we've never tried following an official recipe that has actually been published by the person who sells the product. These cookies have potato chips in it. This is insane and I want to do it. First of all, we're gonna start with some brown sugar, some white sugar, and some butter that has been softened. And mine is past softer, it's almost liquid, but it's gonna be fine. According to the recipe, we are going to cream the sugar and the butter for 2 to 3 minutes before we add the rest of the ingredients. This is looking very light and fluffy. From previous experience, this was always a good foundation for a cookie recipe. This bakery is as bougie as it gets, so just something different on our copycat recipes. So we're gonna add 1 egg, liquid glucose, and also some vanilla extract. And this is supposed to cream for 7 to 8 minutes. That is a long time, but if I've learned anything from these copycat recipes, don't use your brain. Honestly, just do what it says. Do you see how light and fluffy this looks? I mean, I would eat this as it is. So I think this is when it becomes more like a cookie dough. So we're gonna start by adding some flour. This is just some plain flour. This is baking soda, baking powder, and salt. And using the same attachment, we're only supposed to mix this for 1 minute. So literally, this will be really quick because at this stage, you don't want to overmix it. I don't know why, it just says on the instructions. Okay, so we always gotta make sure we can scrape all the sides and everything because... So this is the foundation for our cookie dough. It's a pretty good consistency. I wouldn't say it's superior to the Subway one, but it looks good. To this, I'm gonna add some chocolate chips. These are milk and dark chocolate chips. These are butterscotch chips. This right here is a graham cracker crust. You know the stuff you use to make pies? This is a real pie crust that we're adding to our cookies. I have never experienced anything like this. This is instant coffee. If you can find it in your kitchen, you can put it in there. These are some rolled oats because why not? And we're supposed to mix this for 30 seconds. This was a really missed opportunity on calling these trash cookies because it is essentially what this is. I know it doesn't make sense, but I promise you have to believe me in this. It smells incredible. I have never seen a cookie dough that is literally everything. Everything is in here. You can do this with the electric mixer, but I actually, when it gets to this stage of adding the flour, I kind of like to do this by hand to have a feel. If you thought this was a lot, it's about to get a whole lot worse because we're about to add potato chips. These are salted, ready salted potato chips and also some pretzels. So I'm gonna attach this back in and we are going to mix this for literally 30 seconds. I think the goal is not to break the potatoes and the pretzels too much. I don't know why, but that is what the instructions say. This is one of the most insane things I have ever made. Like the lady who came up with this, sometimes I like to believe that I'm creative, but not this creative. It kind of looks like tuna salad, I'm not gonna lie. This is also what Taco Bell's beef is made of. If you follow this recipe, this is what you'll end up with. We are going to refrigerate the dough for at least 1 hour. This is really important because otherwise they're not gonna cook correctly. As you can see, the dough is it's a little more firm. It was strange to refrigerate potato chips, pretzels, this whole mess. I'm gonna use an ice cream scoop and just sort of try to shape the cookies. I don't know how much these will spread out, so I am definitely playing a dangerous game here, I think. What's interesting is that each cookie is gonna be so different from each other because the dough is so uneven. I don't think I can bake all of these. I think this is all gonna become a mess, so I am gonna bake 5 only. We should actually flatten down the tops a little bit. I guess just to help these cook. I'm gonna put like a whole pretzel on top of this one. They definitely don't look like Subway cookies. They look like their own thing. They almost look like scones a little bit. Probably not the most appetizing cookies in the world. I don't think they're meant to look like the most appetizing cookies in the world. These bake for 18 minutes, which is a long time for cookies. I'm really scared they're gonna burn. One last look, one last close up of our compost cookies. So we just got the cookies out of the oven and these two kind of blended a little bit into each other. These look very interesting. Like I said, I don't think these cookies are meant to look appetizing. If you go on Google and you type in compost cookies from Milkbar, you will find some that look exactly like this, but also some that are a little bit more chunky, so I think it truly depends. I was doubting the 18 minutes cooking because it felt like way too long, and they definitely got darker than I usually leave my chocolate chip cookies. Something magical happens with the consistency of this. I don't know how this makes sense, but it's still soft. You can 100% trust the recipe, the 18 minutes. I just wanted to show you how it's still soft and chewy, but some of the potato chips, the pretzels, I have no idea what happened. They just sort of blended into everything. Okay, there's a bit of a pretzel and a potato chip in this one. I think we should try this one. Yep, wow. These cookies are one of those things that you honestly have to give this a try in order to truly, fully experience it. I'm gonna try my best at explaining it. In the end, you kinda end up with salted caramel flavor. Even though there's no caramel in it, it's a very similar flavor to salted caramel, but not quite. It is very sweet. It is painful on my teeth. It's very complex. It starts sweet and then it goes very salty and then comes back to sweet after. These are incredible. Texture-wise, it's soft and crispy. This is the most interesting cookie I have ever eaten. You guys truly have to try it to believe me because the actual cookie might not look quite as aesthetic as the Subway one that we've done earlier. They almost look like you overcook them and then you touch them and it's like so chewy. Do you see? This was Copycat Recipes Part 4. I really hope you guys enjoy this. I think this is my favorite episode. I always say this. I was speechless throughout every single recipe. It was mind-blowing. It was weird at times. I just loved every single recipe that we've tried today. If you want a part 5, you know exactly what to do. And also, I want to say a big thank you to those of you who subscribe. I wanted to say a special thank you to those of you who switch on my notifications, who subscribe to my YouTube channel. You guys make these episodes possible. Thank you for subscribing, but also only do it if you actually enjoy my videos. I'm trying to decide if I make the rest of the cookies now or if I put them in the freezer. I'm gonna make them now.